Hello, welcome to Euro PCR 2026. I'm Dave Hildick-Smith. I'm an interventional cardiologist in Brighton in the UK. And I'm delighted to be joined today by Brian Bergmark, who's joining us from the TIMI study group at Brigham and Women's Hospital in the USA. So Brian, today you did presented a meta-analysis, a patient-level meta-analysis of the four really big studies in PCI versus CABG involving the left main. So that's XL, Noble, PRECOMBAT and Syntax. There are four strikingly similar trials in some respects, so a really good choice for a meta-analysis. What did you find? What were the main things you found in your meta-analysis?
As you know, we previously, with the trial leadership and a group of independent investigators, looked at 5-year outcome data back in 2021. And at the time, mortality was statistically similar between PCI and CABG. The question here was, with complete long-term follow-up from those four trials, what would we see in terms of mortality?
And so what did you actually find? So mortality at 5 years was roughly, 12% or so between the groups, and by 10 years?
That's exactly right. And so then in both arms, it was about 23% at 10 years.
And actually quite equivalent?
And very similar, that's right.
So were you surprised at all that it was equivalent when you did this analysis? Because, in a sense, the surgeons always trade on the value of surgery being in its longevity. So were you surprised?
So, it's hard to be, I guess, too surprised when you know the top line results from other papers than the long-term data which have been published. And so the top level arithmetic isn't too difficult to do. But I think what you're getting at is more the clinical difference. And so when we think about grafting versus PCI, and one of the benefits we think about clinically in the long term might be survival. And in that respect, I do think this data set does go against what might be the conventional wisdom in that regard.
Yes, absolutely. Certainly it's something that you wouldn't find discussed in those terms in most heart team meetings, And so within the trial groups, within the groups in there, say syntax scores or other factors such as diabetes, were there any differentiators that suggested that surgery was superior in one particular group, for example, the more severe disease or diabetic patients?
So we broke patients down by several categories, as you note, by age, sex, diabetes status, coronary complexity. And so when we looked at patients with a low syntax score, intermediate syntax score, and high syntax score, across those groups, the event rates get higher. The syntax score was prognostic in terms of mortality, but there was no treatment difference in any of those syntax score categories, including the highest syntax score. It is important to keep in mind that even though the syntax score was high, these are patients who were considered suitable for PCI or CABG by the multidisciplinary team that evaluated them. And as you noted in today's presentation and discussion, these are patients who also agreed to participate in a randomized trial.
Yes, which is quite a big ask of a patient in a way to be prepared to consider a coin tossing between coronary artery bypass grafting and PCI. So the groups that were used in this study had certainly quite a lot of patients will have been seen by the MDT as having too severe disease when they to gone into the studies. So I think what you're suggesting is that although in the high syntax score we still saw that equivalence in mortality, perhaps that hides the fact that there would have been patients with more severe disease who were just considered, okay, we can't put them in the trial, they need to go and have surgery, for example. So might we be missing some of that in the meta-analysis?
For sure. So the typical reason a person would not be considered for PCI is that the coronary disease is of a complexity or nature that is thought to be prohibitive. At the other end, there are patients who are thought to be prohibitive for surgery, for typically medical complexities, frailty, that sort of thing. And so these trials do not capture the full universe of patients with left main disease. They are the patients who were considered appropriate for these trials.
Yes. And then lastly, one question about mortality as a marker. Obviously, we as doctors sort of think of it as something important, and of course it is important, but do you think it's something that principally bothers patients, when they're trying to decide about what treatment to have and they're being offered various options? Do you think mortality is foremost in their mind, or other considerations?
I think it's an important part of it. Certainly for many patients, if there were a major difference in their likelihood of being alive in several years, I think that would be part of the consideration. It's also unambiguous. It's easy for trials to capture death relative to other endpoints and know what you're dealing with. It is obviously not the full picture. There are other endpoints that we have experience capturing, categorizing, characterizing, such as myocardial infarction and stroke, that are also an important part of the patient experience. But even those, I think, fail to capture what goes into decision-making for many patients. And as somebody who has these conversations daily, for most patients, they are thinking about things like recovery time. How do I balance getting out of the hospital sooner now with less discomfort versus this theoretical notion that I come back for a repeat revascularization? What about kidney injury? All of these other things that are a bit harder for us to quantify and to define in a trial.
Well, I couldn't agree more with that, actually, Brian. That's great. And so thank you very much for joining me, Euro PCR 2026, to discuss the meta-analysis you did on these 4 very important trials.
My pleasure. Thank you.